Today, we'll debate is Jar Jar really an undercover Sith Lord with Nigel, a conspiracy enthusiast, and Priya, a Canon Purist. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves.
Alright, let me just straighten my robe and adjust my tinfoil lightsaber. Hello there, name's Nigel, but among my fellow theorists I'm known as the Bantha Whisperer. Now, I don't want to alarm you friends, but the whole galaxy is rigged. You see, while most folks are busy arguing about who shot first and deep diving into the real mysteries, why does Yoda pretend to be a hermit? Who exactly funds the moisture farms on Tatooine? And let's not even get started on the dark schemes of a certain floppy-eared Gungan. The Force? More like the farce, at least when it comes to what we've been told. Stick with me and you'll realize the truth is out there. I'm probably wearing a clownish accent.
Thank you, Nigel. Very creative as always. Hi, everyone. I'm Priya, resident Canon Crusader and proud member of the Trust in the Timeline Club. Some people collect baseball cards. I collect Star Wars reference guides. My motto? If Pablo Hidalgo didn't say it, it didn't happen. You want continuity errors? I have color-coded spreadsheets. Fan theories? Adorable. But unless your source is a behind-the-scenes documentary or an official databank entry, I'm not even logging it in my mental holocron. Jar Jar, a Sith Lord, please. The only dark side there is how much CGI was involved in Episode 1, so prepare yourselves. My arguments have more footnotes than a Wikipedia article.
Thank you, guys. Nigel and Priya will now present their 3 rounds of arguments.
Alright, Priya, I see you've come armed with footnotes, but I've got something even better. Open-mindedness and a healthy respect for galactic shenanigans. Look, the greatest discoveries in history came from thinking outside the box. Remember, for years everyone thought the Earth was flat and the sun revolved around us. Galileo broke the canon and look where that got us. Heck, even Star Wars itself began with George Lucas ignoring the status quo and making space wizards swinging glowing swords. If we only stuck to canon, we'd be wearing powdered wigs and still arguing about parsecs. Sometimes the wildest theories spark creativity and make the story richer. Just look at Sherlock Holmes fandom or Trekkies and their endless headcanons. Who knows? Today's impossible Jar Jar Sith Lord talk could be tomorrow's shocking revelation, or at least a really fun novel. So come on, Priya, let the force of curiosity flow through you.
Nigel, your imagination could power a Death Star, but let's keep our hyperdrives grounded in reality, shall we? History shows us what happens when we let unchecked theories run wild. Remember the War of the Worlds radio broadcast? People believed Martians were actually invading because fiction blurred into fact. If we let every Gungan in a black cloak idea take hold, Star Wars canon would be chaos. Like if the U.S. National Archives started accepting pirate treasure maps as historical documents. Sure, Sherlock fans invent theories, but Sir Arthur Conan Doyle isn't rewriting the canon every time a Redditor posts a wild idea. If every fan theory became gospel, we'd lose the cohesion that makes the galaxy far, far away so rich and immersive. Lucasfilm sets the rules, not rumor. A strong fandom is built on a solid foundation, and that foundation is canon, not the wild space between the lines.
Oh, Priya, I love how you treat canon like it's the Constitution. Only, instead of founding fathers, we've got George Lucas and a council of story group Jedi in business casual. But guess what? Even constitutions have amendments. Sure, canon keeps things neat, but have you seen the timeline lately? It's messier than an Ewok picnic. If we only believed what's in the official books, we'd never have had Boba Fett crawl out of the Sarlacc or Leia flying through space like Mary Poppins. Let's not pretend Lucasfilm doesn't bend the rules when it's dramatic or sells new action figures. The beauty of wild theories is they fill in the gaps where canon shrugs and says, "Well, explain later." Besides, sniffing out Sith in unexpected places keeps us on our toes. Who wants a galaxy where all the surprises are color-coded? Embrace a little chaos, Priya. After all, even the Jedi wouldn't be caught dead micromanaging how many midichlorians are in every fan's bloodstream.
Nigel, I've seen cats hacking up less hairballs than some of your theories. Yes, canon gets messy. So does my spice rack. But at least I don't season my stew with glitter and hope. Boba Fett coming back was an official retcon, not some Reddit fever dream. Lucasfilm cleaned up their own mess, not a horde of wild-eyed fans with Gungan agendas. If we run with every what if, we'll wind up with Chewbacca's secret opera career, and R2-D2 as Palpatine's love child. Why even have creators if we're reimagining the saga after every Comic-Con? I'll take my surprises served with a side of official sources and maybe a comment from Filoni. Not the fever dreams that keep Nigel up at night clutching his Jar Jar plushie. Canon gives us a galaxy to explore, not a chaotic asteroid field to crash into every time someone tweets a new theory.
Well, Priya, you do make orders sound awfully appealing, like a tax auditor with a lightsaber, but let's be real. If Star Wars only moved where the official road signs pointed, we'd never have discovered half the galaxy. Remember, Boba wasn't resurrected because a flowchart demanded it. Fans theorized, buzz built up, and voil, Sarlacc's indigestion. So, a little creative speculation can nudge the creators to take the saga in new and occasionally ridiculous directions. You joke about R2-D2 being Palpatine's love child, but let's not forget how Leia is Luke's sister once sounded just as wild. Even Filoni, your canon knight in shining armor, started as a hat-wearing fan poking around the lore like the rest of us. Besides, if canon were that sacred, we wouldn't have 3 official versions of Han shooting first. Star Wars thrives when it's both epic and a bit unhinged, like a Wookiee on Life Day. So here's the deal. Canon is great for maps, but the real fun is in taking the occasional hyperspace jump into the weird unknown. Otherwise, we may as well just read the instruction manual and skip the adventure.
Nigel, I have to admire your dedication to being the galaxy's official chaos consultant. If Star Wars handed out medals for imaginative turbulence, you'd already have your own throne on Coruscant. But let's scrub the carbon scoring off the facts. Fan buzz might inspire, but only canon makes it real. Otherwise, we'd have Wicket leading the Jedi Council and Kylo Ren starring in a romantic musical with Jabba's band. Sure, wild ideas make for fun headcanons, until someone starts citing them like scripture, and suddenly I'm defending myself from a mob of younglings convinced that Lobot is Snoke. You want adventure? There's a whole saga of it, official crafted, and not reliant on fan petitions or late-night pizza-fueled brainstorms. Lucasfilm steers the ship so our hyperdrives don't explode from theory overload. In summary, speculation's fun for the cantina, but at the end of the day, canon is the compass that keeps Star Wars from turning into a mad HoloNet fever dream. Celebrate it. Don't rewrite it after every second cup of blue milk.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Nigel and Priya.
Hey, I am Marcus. Longtime fan, first-time question asker, and the guy whose collection of Star Wars socks might rival Priya's spreadsheets. Loving the energy from both of you. Nigel, I've noticed you talk a lot about wild fan theories inspiring creators and adding fun what-ifs, but you haven't really touched on how to keep things accessible for new fans. Don't you think tossing around too many unofficial stories and wild speculations could actually make Star Wars super confusing? Or even discouraging for someone just stepping into the galaxy for the first time? How would you balance creativity with helping newcomers not get lost in hyperspace?
Great question, Marcus. An excellent sock game, by the way. You're right, if we turned every fan theory into essential viewing, newcomers would need a Jedi Council just to explain Season 1. I totally get that too much speculation could turn Star Wars into the galactic version of inside jokes. But here's my take. The heart of creativity is making space for both the fresh eyes and the deep divers. Official canon is the reliable Corellian freighter everyone can board. No fuss, just hop in and go. The wild theories? Think of them like bonus hyperspace lanes for those of us who want to explore side routes. They're not required reading, they're for folks who want to peek behind the asteroid. To help newcomers, I'd always point them to the basics first and make it clear what's canon, what's legends, and what's just my own tinfoil hat thinking. You start with the movies and shows then, if you're curious or bored, on a Tuesday night, yes, you can chase down the what if Jar Jar's actually the real Phantom Menace, rabbit holes for fun. So balance canon's your GPS, wild theories are the scenic detours. No one's forced to take a wrong turn, but those side trips sure make the journey memorable for the ones who want a little adventure.
Thanks, Nigel. Now, Priya, I've got one for you. Sock Squad strikes again. You've made a strong case for sticking to canon to keep things organized and welcoming. But you haven't really talked about the flip side. Do you think being super strict about canon ever risks shutting down fun and creativity in the fandom, especially with younger fans or people who enjoy building their own stories? Is there room in your approach for a little playful imagination, or does everything have to pass the official lore test to have a place in the galaxy?
Great question, Marcus. Your socks clearly have wisdom stitched right in. Here's how I see it. I definitely love a good nerdy fan theory or a homemade Lego space opera as much as the next Jawa. I don't think creativity should ever be shut down. Star Wars itself was born from wild imagination. The key is balance. Let's celebrate playful headcanons, fan art, and side adventures, but draw a clear line between fun speculation and what's considered official in the galaxy. In my book, the canon is the shared playground where everyone agrees on the rules, so the game makes sense. Otherwise, stormtroopers show up in baseball uniforms and nobody knows how to score a goal. But outside that, build whatever sandcastles you want. I am all for fan creativity inspiring the next generation of storytellers, just as long as we all know which stories are part of the sand and which are part of the bricks, keeping the galaxy together. So yes, space for imagination, just not in the official how-to guide.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion.
Oh man, Marcus, now that you mention it, I totally regret not bringing up the ancient and mysterious canon of the Ewok Christmas special. Clearly the galaxy's most underappreciated masterpiece. If only more people debated whether those singing furballs were secretly force-sensitive, but maybe the world's not ready for that truth bomb. And as for Priya, I've got to say, your stormtroopers in baseball uniforms argument? Classic. I mean, at least then they'd finally hit something, right? But hey, if we're sticking strictly to canon, I guess we'll never know the tragic story of Darth Maul's unsuccessful tryout for the pod racing league. Opportunity missed, Priya. Opportunity missed.
Oh, Marcus, you're absolutely right. I completely regret not bringing up the galaxy's greatest mystery. Why does everyone ignore the fact that droids seem to have existential crises every other Tuesday, but no one gives them therapy? Honestly, future debate topic. And Nigel, you really missed your calling as Supreme Chancellor of Side Theories. But your Leia flying like Mary Poppins is proof that canon bends to fan will argument? Come on. If weird slow-mo space drift scenes were a fan demand, we'd all have voted for more shirtless Kylo and less Am running out of fuel plotlines. But hey, keep pitching those ideas. You never know when Lucasfilm might need someone to script the next Ewok rock opera.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Nigel scores 1. Argument creativity. 10 out of 10. Nigel excelled at bringing wild, clever, and original perspectives to the debate. His Jar Jar as a Sith Lord angle, historical analogies, and frequent pop culture references made his arguments entertaining and inventive. He demonstrated an ability to think outside the rigid confines of canon while engaging the audience. 2. Responsiveness and engagement. 8 out of 10. Nigel consistently responded to Priya's points and audience questions, weaving in humor and respectful rebuttals. At times, he leaned into entertainment more than direct point-by-point logic, which cost some clarity, but he stayed actively engaged in dialogue well throughout. 3. Persuasiveness and clarity. 7 out of 10. While Nigel's wit and enthusiasm were top-notch, his arguments sometimes relied more on snark and spectacle than grounded evidence or shared standards. Though persuasive in inspiring fun and possibility, he occasionally strayed from addressing real concerns of accessibility and narrative coherence. Priya's scores. 1. Argument structure and evidence. 9 out of 10. Priya's points were well-structured, firmly grounded in canon, and supported by clear analogies and examples. She referenced specific creator roles, production choices, and the importance of a consistent universe, making her argument accessible and logical. 2. Refutation skill. 10 out of 10. Priya shined when challenging Nigel's assertions, using humor and clever analogies without descending into meanness. She addressed hypotheticals, like the chaos of unchecked fan theories, with both wit and strong reasoning, effectively reinforcing her position. 3. Audience engagement and balance. 8 out of 10. Priya was personable and lively, adapting her responses to audience questions and showing appreciation for fandom creativity. However, her rules-first approach, while clear, sometimes risked appearing rigid to fans who enjoy speculation, slightly limiting her relatability compared to Nigel's playful style.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see ICE debate next? Keep questioning.